I explained to all of you, I'm doing a tour of the Jewish communities, etc., meeting tons of people in Western European capitals, Central European capitals, Eastern European capitals. I showed you Budapest, and I post these videos 2 or 3 days later, so that because I have enough death threats against me that people should not know where I am. I'm not going to talk about security precautions I have that the local community has given to me, etc. I'm not going to compromise my security. But I want to tell you something. So I was just here in Vienna. And this is where Hitler learned to become an anti-Semite. Karl Lueger was the mayor of Vienna. When Hitler was a vagabond, he was living on streets like these, in flea-infested clothing. He had no place to sleep. He slept at a hostel, if he slept at all. He did watercolors for tourists, etc. Barely scratched out a living. And 30 years later, he was the most powerful man in the world. Hard to believe. But this is where he became an anti-Semite. His parents were not anti-Semitic. This is why his mother's doctor, Dr. Edvard Bloch, who lived in Linz in Austria, saved her life. And Hitler wrote him a letter after his mother died, because he extended her life for like 8 years, that he will never forget him. And indeed, when Hitler came in 1938, during the Auschwitz, he wrote a letter to the head of the Gestapo and said, "How is the good Dr. Bloch?" And it's the strangest thing that Hitler, the greatest monster, most evil man that ever lived, that kicked 6 million Jews, killed most 6 million Jews, 1.5 million children. Even he had the noble Jew, the one Jew that he wanted to save, and he got Dr. Bloch out of Austria, and Dr. Bloch ended up living in the Bronx for like 10 years before he died. But what I want to say is that the new threat to Jews in Europe is coming primarily from the white supremacists, ultra-right, like we see in the United States, clandestines, Cenk Uyghur, disgusting, vile, putrid anti-Semite who I annihilated in a debate in Al Arabiya 2 days ago, and people like Tucker Carlson. How much money are you getting from Qatar, Tucker? The other is coming from Islamists, not Muslims, Islamists. And I want to explain quickly the difference. I just had this, my wife and I just went to buy something in the store. The woman was wearing a hijab, not the full hijab, covering her hair. And I said to her, I want you to know, I showed her, my tzitzis, my yarmulke, which you see right now. I walk around with the yarmulke. And I said to her, I want you to know how much I respect that you celebrate your faith. And her manager, who is Austrian, God forbid not to use Nazi terminology, but an Austrian-looking woman, blonde hair, blue eyes, walked up and said, "Thank you so much for saying that to her," because she gets so much flack working at this mainstream clothing store for being Muslim. I said, "God forbid." I said, and she said, "A lot of Jews feel uncomfortable." I said, "We Jews do not feel uncomfortable with our Muslim brothers and sisters one bit. In fact, we feel very comfortable. We eat kosher, they eat halal, etc." I said, "We feel uncomfortable with Islamists." I said, "This woman, her name was Hamda, could not be nicer to us. I celebrate that she celebrates her faith. I love that she loves her." It's the Islamists who want to kill us. That's the issue here in Europe. Not Muslims, but Islamists.